What's going on, everybody? It's Josue Pavone. Getting to sit down with Cedric Maxwell was a lot of fun. I got this feature I'm putting together talking about his book, If These Walls Could Talk. And we did this at the farm in Beverly Hills. Now, this is a special spot that Max likes to go to every time he's in town. And the Celtics on the verge of a back-to-back set against the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers. I got a chance to have a sit down with him. And here's most of our conversation in this episode. It's going to feel like you're sitting at the table with us, all right? But trust me, it's worth it. It's a great conversation.
The big girls love that. Chicks love the last shot opportunity. Somebody give me a napkin so I can wipe my mouth.
All right, this isn't a podcast. All right? I want you to just be kicking, we chilling.
Okay.
All right, this is you seeing me and my reporter element putting this feature together. All right?
Okay.
A two-parter.
Let's do it.
You in LA? How's it feel? When's the last time you was out here?
Great. LA, with this place called the Farm, man. I love this place.
You been here for like 10 years, you said?
Dude, we on Rodeo Drive. I hit on Rodeo Drive. We're in Beverly Hills. It don't get no better than this, man. I mean, this is back in Boston right now. It's probably in the high 30s, and we're out here with just a sweater on. The sun is shining. It's supposed to be close to 80 degrees today. What problem do I have?
You still think about the rivalry when you come out here? Is that part of it?
I do. And one of the funniest things that ever happened to me was actually here, where we were, I was actually in Beverly Hills, and there was a Laker fan. And you'll see these, occasionally you'll see these, it's really, I guess I could say it, you'll see all these cars coming down the street, and they are like they're looking for sightseeing trucks.
Right.
So this guy comes up to me in a Beverly Hills thing, and I'm in Beverly Hills. He comes up, he's a Laker fan, and he's like, "Oh my God, Cedric Maxwell." As soon as he says that, he says, "Can I take a picture with you?" I said, "Yeah, sure, you can take a picture with me." All of a sudden, this sightseeing thing comes up with all these people who were from Japan.
The double deck door.
And they see me, and they just start taking pictures. It's like, they don't even know who I am. It was just so funny, but LA is kind of like this. It's a completely different environment out here.
Yeah, because it's not like Celtics fans, right? Like, if things were reversed and you were one of those, like, LA Lakers walking around Boston, it's a different reception, no?
Well, the thing about it, in LA, everybody's famous. Yeah. So nobody trips with the thing about how we walk around in Boston. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, that there's a Celtic, there's a Patriot." That those people walk around here in LA, which I found to be fascinating when I was with the Clippers. I realized it because when I was on the East Coast, any place I go on the East Coast, people come up to me, "Oh my God, Cedric Maxwell, what's up? What's going on?" I hear and playing with the Clippers. I was at the mall, people walking by me like I was a sign out there. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm famous here. But you're not famous. Only a couple of people you stop for. Like Magic was one of the people that people stopped for. I'm sure when Shaq was going the way he was going, Kareem. But for the most part, they're people, they're used to seeing people walk on the beach. They're used to seeing all these famous actresses. Whereas you and I see them, we go, "Whoa, that's such and such." But they don't even trip with it out here.
They're so used to it, right?
It's a different environment out here.
I'm always thinking I'm going to run into like someone who had like a minor role in some show that I used to watch, and I'd be like,
you will.
Yeah,
you could do that. You can do that with the person that is waiting on our table right now. They will tell you, "Well, I'm just doing this for the time being until my acting thing gets going," and that. So you will hear people say that, that are just regular people, and you'll say, "Oh, you're in what?" "Yeah, I'm in such movie," or "I was an extra." So it is completely different.
When you think about leaving Boston and coming here, a complete different environment, was it a bit of a culture shock, joining the Clippers and coming into this brand new environment, being in LA?
It was completely different in the sense that, I was with the championship Celtics. And the thing that for me, more than anything, was that I told people, I said, I think at the time there were 26 teams in the league. I got booed in every arena except one, and that was in Boston. When I was with the Clippers, they introduced me to the home game. Ooh. It was so funny. I'd be like, bring it on, bring it on.
So you would wave your hands like, come on.
Yeah. And all my teammates, they loved it. They just laughed because, I hated Celtic playing here and playing here in LA, and people didn't like that.
Yeah.
But I found it really. I found that with some strange bedfellows. I got to know Denzel Washington pretty good. Penny Marshall was always at our games. She would talk to me. All these different people who were LA, who weren't particularly Laker fans, would come to our games. And with the Clippers and Norm Nixon, his wife Debbie Allen, she was doing Different Worlds, and so I met that cast, and it was really cool.
Yeah, you talked about that in your book. Just getting together with people like that and seeing different celebrities come through and come and shake your hand. That must have been so different compared to Boston.
It is. I mean, Boston. Everybody's not to be bad about Boston. Everybody's Joey or Billy from the from Southie or from Eastie or whatever they were.
Hardworking guys.
I'm from
people.
Roxbury.
The hardworking community.
I'm from Dorchester, man. Yo, man.
Matter of fact.
And I love my line for Boston people all that time was use guys.
Mm-hmm.
Use guys gonna win tonight. Use guys, not you guys. Use guys. So the environment was really different, and you think about being in LA. First of all, just to get to the arena. I lived out in Palos Verdes, which is about an hour from here. So my commute on a game day was like about 4 hours. I would drive in, drive out on a shoot around, go back home, then drive back in, then drive back out.
Damn.
I was on the road for like 4 hours. It was like a 4-hour trip. So
everything's so far out.
Other things about LA, you have to put that in your scheme of things. The contents about just driving.
Right. If these walls could talk, why is it so important for you to put this book out? Why now, actually?
I don't even know why now. People have talked to me about that. Mike Eisenberg, he was the guy who actually talked to me about it, and we just he said, do you want to write a book? And I was like, I don't know, man. And then finally we just decided, and it was about probably like last year, and during the pandemic, I had time just to reflect and talk about different things. It was fun.
Did you feel like it was sort of like I don't know, like reading through it, I can't help but wonder if this is like a therapeutic process for you. Obviously reliving your great basketball career and putting it all together. And now you're in the middle of another career, right? You got a broadcasting career that you've been doing the last 20 years. We'll get into that a little bit later, but just talk to me about like what that was about, what that was like, reflecting on everything that you went through and putting it and seeing it all on paper.
It was therapeutic because you forget so many things, and then you start adding into things, and like, oh man, this happened and that happened. I forgot about that, and I forgot about this, and then you start, man, I have a lot of stories that actually came together, and was just things I remembered, things I laughed about. Some things were somewhat painful, some things were just funny as hell.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you have a tendency to highlight all the good stuff, and then the really bad stuff, you highlight that. But all those things are in between. They're getting into a shade of gray that you forget about until you start talking about it again, going, oh man, I remember, I forgot about that, or I forgot about this, and so, yeah.
What were some of the things that popped up? Well, actually, you know what? No, before you answer that, let me ask you this. Because for me, it would always be, how much do I want to hold on to, right? Did you find yourself in that position where you're like, I don't know if I want to tell this story, or should I tell this? Were you doing that throughout this whole process?
I think there's only one story that I did not go into fully, and it was a story about a young lady in Charlotte who said I had her child, and the woman and that was 40 years ago, and she just talked to me about 2 years ago saying I had this child. I didn't go into details on who it was, and it would be fascinating if I ever told exactly who she was and what she did for a living. And people be like, wow, what a connection. So there are things that, I didn't talk about. So, hey, have a French fry. since we just being boys, talking.
Were you feeling guilty, Max? You wish you didn't want to eat up all these fries? Appreciate it.
I think I was feeling about the story on her as I met the young lady who she said was my child, and she was really cool. She was really cool, and I did not want to put her in the position of explaining different things. I just didn't want to do that. But if that story ever comes out, like some of my friends know the story in Charlotte, but if it ever came out, man, that would be it would blow the roof off of it.
You still keep in contact with her?
The young lady in the book claimed that I went to school with, claimed that I had got her pregnant.
Right.
And she told me about a young lady who she told the girl who found her that ended up being her mother, being her child. She told her that I was her dad. She said, "Do you know who my dad is?" She's like, "Yeah, absolutely, 100%." And when it was 100%,
she showed him on the basketball game, right?
No, she actually just told me who I was. And so, and the girl said, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Absolutely, 100%." Well, she was 100% wrong because it came back 0.0.0.0.
Oh, so you actually got the test and
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Did that part make you not want to put it in the book even more, or was that just...
No, it was more about the young lady that I met.
Okay, gotcha.
She was really cool, and I respected the point of her privacy.
Right. Okay. What was something that you shared that you were a little hesitant? Was there anything? Something that made it in the book?
I think that probably a little hesitant about the apology to my teammates, talking about me playing and how I was hurt. Didn't know I was hurt.
Right.
I mean, didn't know how to handle being hurt. I never experienced that before as a pro, and maybe just not handling the right way because I'm happy-go-lucky. Happy-go-lucky doesn't get sad all of a sudden.
Right.
And I was still happy-go-lucky even being hurt. So it came across to some people I really didn't care about playing anymore and that's what disappointed me more than anything, when all of them knew that I was one of the most competitive guys they had ever been around. So that was very disappointing.
This episode of the Causeway Street Podcast is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. BetOnline has you covered all season. More props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues the march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all your sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code CLNS50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is your fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. I like the part of the book where there's one passage where you talk about how someone like Larry Bird would go 100% every single game, every night, and that was impressive. But at the same time, when there were the big games, you know, your teammates knew to expect that same sort of effort from you. Even though maybe it may not be like that through all 82 games throughout the course of the regular season.
They knew that I had another gear.
Exactly. Yeah, as you put it, right.
And because, you have another gear, and it's not being lazy, but that was the amazing thing about Larry, is the fact that he could play the same way against every team hard, every single moment.
Right.
Whereas that wasn't in my DNA, and for the most part, it's not in every player's DNA.
Right.
There are big games. Everybody doesn't play like Marcus Smart in every game.
Right.
Whereas other guys have a tendency to step down or step up. And I could step up and play the big games.
I'm going to read this passage from your book. Bird was the greatest player I ever played with. He and I were one of the best forward combinations in the NBA. We weren't the best of friends, but we were basketball friends. That's the best way I can put it. We loved the game, and our competitive juices made each other better. Talk about that passage from your book, the basketball friendship between you two, between you and Larry Bird. And how did it make you better, and how do you think it made Larry a better player?
Well, I think just what we did, in the sense that playing with Larry was he didn't have to play that like that on the defensive end because that was my given assignment. I did not want it, but that's what Bill Fitch gave me.
Because you're guarding the best
He
players,
told me
the best opposing players.
every night you're gonna guard, and that was just tough for me to hear. You know, I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. I mean, whoa, dude, I'm averaging 19 points a game. I don't need to be doing all that defense. But he told me that. You know, like the first day of one of the first days of practice, came up to me and told me that. I was like, whoa! I was blown away. I was scared, matter of fact. Like, what? Whoa, wait a minute.
But you weren't scared against New York when you're going up against Bernard
But
King.
back then, I had already acclimated to that.
Oh, okay.
That was my second year in the league.
Gotcha.
And then by the time I was going up against Bernard King, that was my 8th or 9th year in the league. So I was
You were battle tested by then.
Yeah. I thought, I already did what I needed to do.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that's one of those crazy things you look at and you going, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is how I'm playing, and I think it's a really different feel when you think about playing it that way.
Right.
But so far as the comment is, Larry and I we had nothing in common other than we were human beings. We had nothing else in common.
Yeah. I like how you
like,
put it. Like he drank beer with who was it? With Quentin Buckner and Rich Roby.
Yeah.
And you kicked it with Emil Carr and Robert Perry.
Yeah. He drink beer, I drink sodas. He drink liquor, I ate popcorn. I mean, that wasn't me.
Right.
His world of doing things is completely different than mine. I mean, I'm sure that Larry liked to fish and hunt and all that kind of. That wasn't me. I mean, I wanted to know about political events and politics and world views. That wasn't Larry.
Do you think maybe if he knew you better, he wouldn't go to assumption thinking that you quit on the team?
No. I don't know. Again, I think that's just how it came across. I think it was just a translation which came across that the way I was acting, it seemed like I didn't. Mm-hmm. And I fault myself for that, you know. But I can't fault what my personality is. My personality isn't like, woe is me. I'm not slap rock. I'm a happy-go-lucky person. So it was a different feel for me.
Talk about the 1984-85 season, because you talk about from your book, it sounds like a lackluster job of your physical before the start of the season, and then by February, you start to feel a different pain in your ankle, and that's in your knee, and that sort of changed everything.
We had just won the championship, and then I was starting to feel pain in my knee almost before the season, really, in '84, and didn't really think of it no more than just regular aches and pains and one day I thought it was really different was the night I was in bed, I was asleep, and all of a sudden I turned and I heard somebody scream. It was like in pain. I'm like, damn, who was that? I realized it was me, because when I had turned my knee, I ended up finding out later that part of the tear of the ligament on the inside actually got caught in the bone, and it actually was it would tear like you tearing paper, and oh man, it's just so painful, and that's when I really knew I was hurt, man. I think the big thing, the doctors didn't think I was hurt because my knee wasn't swelling up, because I didn't swell, so therefore it was like, well, maybe it's just in your mind. And I knew it wasn't, and it was just hard to get anybody to believe me. That was frustrating.
There's no like X-rays. It's so different, right? Like nowadays, it would just be so on the forefront, or it would have been picked up before the start of the season, right?
Yeah, the MRI.
Yeah, MRI would have cleared.
Had that done, whatever. But because of that, didn't have an MRI. Nobody knew at that time.
Max doesn't want to play for us anymore. Period. Larry, I don't know if he'll own up to it now or not. All I know is he said it, and that's all I can tell you now. That said, he defends Max to the death today. That was from Bob Ryan. Talk about this conversation you recently had with Larry Bird. What was that like?
It was simple. We didn't talk about too many things. We talked about other things about how we played together and who he was and who I was and how I was doing. And there wasn't anything to do with the basketball stuff. It was just pretty much lackluster. I think at the very end, I didn't want to play because it was just a lot of media stuff going on, talking about me and what I did and how he didn't want to play. And I think Red just made it to a point where it was like, look, and for me, it was like, okay, I knew it was at the end. Just go ahead and trade me. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm good with that. We had a great life. That's what I think about relationships. Be all combative. Like, oh my God, where's Red? No, you had a great time. You had some great things that went on in your life. And we had a great relationship. 8 years, won multiple championships.
I was going to say, you know what's a testament to that? When you went back for Larry Bird night. Talk about that and the emotions that you went through after all those years of not going back to Boston. After you told yourself you would never go back.
Yeah.
Talk about that night, coming back to the Garden.
They asked me to come back for Larry's retirement. And I was debating whether I should or not. I didn't. I was up in the air. I don't know about. And then I was like, okay, hey, I'll come back. And then they were talking to all the players, and then they were talking to Bill Fitch, and then they did Nate Archibald, and it was Bob Costas was the MC.
Right. Yeah.
And Bob looks at me and finally says, Max, welcome back to the Garden. Welcome back to Boston. And the crowd just went crazy. And it was really it surprised me with the emotion that came over me at that point. And it really showed the appreciation that I had and not only from the fans who stood up and gave me a standing ovation, but also from my teammates who were there, who understood kind of what I went through. And Robert Parrish in particular, when I think of him, because Robert Parrish said, hey.
You go, I'm sorry.
Robert Parrish said, I got fucked without the lube. So.
Which made the book, by the way. I love that you put that in the book.
That's the Nick Johnson effect right there.
Because you can hear his bass in his voice going, Max got fucked.
Without the lube. So it's one of those things that, to me, it is just really funny when you think about, that. So I just kind of laugh, but, it was, that was just an emotional thing that happened for me. I was very surprised that the fans gave me a standing ovation. I was just as surprised that my teammates gave me a standing ovation, and they literally just stopped. People just stopped, and they stood and they clapped in unison. Like when he said, Max, welcome back to Boston. How does it feel to be back? And literally everybody stood up, and it was like it vindicated me in the sense of how I had played and what I had meant for this team.
Do you think part of you felt like it was a moment in your life where you're like you could kind of take a sigh of relief?
Yeah, it did. You just took a deep breath. You let their love rain on you, and then I had to get back to talk about the Larry Bird, his
the
retirement.
Gifts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
The gift.
Yeah.
And,
that was hilarious the way you put that together.
So I
you
think,
didn't even know what it was.
No. That wasn't for me.
Yeah, but how funny is that?
Yeah,
because
like,
everyone knows, it's not like you bought it yourself, but it was for you to say it was such a Max thing to do, and it was well received. Everyone cracking up.
I don't even know what this is. What is this thing? What is it?
See, that's the comic relief that never goes away. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that goes, like that's what resonates with people, and it came all at once with the crowd and everything in that moment. I thought that was special.
What is it? You don't know? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So like I'm loving it, watching my buddy Nick Jolson just having a ball over here eating this French toast right now. He's like a hero. He's like
it's the first time he's eating. Back home, it's like 3:00. It is the first time he's eating today.
It's in heaven right now. He's like, he'll tell me later on. He'll be like, "Oh my God, that French toast you had." I'm not talking about that.
Yo, and I told him,
that French toast.
And Nick,
is the best.
Nick, what I say on the way over here? I said, "Don't be a distraction." There it is. Max can't stop looking at you.
I'm not. But But he just looking right at me. He's looking at my face. He just smiling the whole time like,
What's he about to say? He's front row seats. This interview.
And the thing about
Exclusive
it, really
sit-down.
funny about it, is he's heard every one of these stories, but it's like goes right back again.
It never gets old for
He
him.
starts giggling again like a schoolgirl. Like,